Okay, so hello everyone. Very good afternoon and good evening to all. And dear authors and invited guests, welcome to the technical session 2B. My name is Anisha Mishra and I am the moderator for today's session. On behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the International Congress on Information and Communication Technology, ICICT 2023. The 8th edition of the conference is being organized in a hybrid mode. The physical event was held in London, UK on 20th and 21st February 2023. And the virtual event will be held through Zoom today and tomorrow, that is 22nd and 23rd February 2023. I hope you all will enjoy the knowledgeable and interactive sessions through the day. So in this session, we have 6 presentations. Each presenter will be given 12 minutes for the presentation and 3 minutes for the question and answer. And on 10 minutes, I will raise a gentle reminder. And there is another request to all the participants that you all please stay connected with us till the closing of the session. And if you have any update or query, you can write it to me in the chat box. So just before we get started, I would like to introduce you all to the chairs of the session. First, we have Dr. Durgesh Kumar Mishra. So Dr. Durgesh Kumar Mishra has received MTech degree in computer science from DAVV Indore in 1994 and PhD degree in computer engineering in 2008. Presently, he has been working as a professor, CSE and director, Microsoft Innovation Center at Sri Aurobindo Institute of Technology, Indore, MP, India. He is also a visiting faculty at IIT Indore, MP, India. He has 24 years of teaching and 10 years of research experience. He has published more than 90 papers in referred international, national journals and conferences, including IEEE, ACM conferences. So I welcome you to the session, sir.
Thank you, Anisha, for brief introductions. Now, first of all, I congratulate to Dr. Amit from GR Foundations to organize this 8th edition of ICICT, that is International Conference on Information and Communication Technology, and I am supposed to be the editor of this. And this is the conference, is a very good conference, and in the last 7 editions we have published a good number of papers, and that papers are having a good number of citations also. Then I hope that the today's session will have also a good paper, and definitely they have the good papers and you will present very nicely, I think so, right? So again, and then there is another important, Anisha is told about you. This presentation is about 12 minutes. And after that, 3 minutes is the question answer sessions. Then I request you the all authors, presenters to tell about something, your work, not the basic concept and all this thing, so that you can save your time and you can explain what work you did to everybody. Okay. And the second important is what this conference is for, the discussion with the others, right? So I'll request to all other participants, if you have any questions, you can ask at the end, because we have the 3-minute session for the question and answers, right? So thank you and the best of luck for the all participants, for all authors, or all presenters. Thank you. Dr. Anisha can start.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for your remarks. And we have another session chair for the session, Dr. SFA SME, but she has not joined the session yet, I think because of some technical issues. So for now, we are moving forward with the presentations. And I would like to invite our first presenter, Gurdal Ertek, to present his paper on the title, A Data Analytics Methodology for Benchmarking of Sentiment Scoring Algorithms in the Analysis of Customer Reviews. So, dear presenter, you may please start your presentation now.
Sorry, I cannot share my screen at this point.
Okay.
That's
Just
great.
try
Thank you so
now.
much.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. Can you see my screen?
It's okay.
Yes.
It's all okay? Yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's visible.
All right. Everybody, welcome to my presentation. And my name is Dr. Gurdal Ertek. And I'd like to thank Dr. Durgesh Mishra and Ms. Dr. Anisha Mishra for the introduction. And I thank you all for being here and listening to our presentation. So today what I'd like to present about is our research on sentiment scoring, and we applied sentiment scoring in the context of customer reviews, and we have data from Amazon. So we applied sentiment scoring, and we developed a data analytics methodology for this. And the difference of our methodology from earlier work is that we allow for a benchmarking of these different sentiment scoring algorithms. So the main research question that we have in our research is this: for online customer reviews, how can we systematically benchmark, in other words, compare the sentiment scores obtained by various algorithms? And for this research, my co-authors are two of my students, Teslim Abu Qasim and Fatma Hamad Ubaid Al-Azazi. They are students in our Master in Business Analytics program here at UAE University's College of Business and Economics. So this is the outline of my presentation. First, I present the research topic, then I motivate, then I describe the integrated methodology that we developed, the sample data that we have used, the algorithms that we have used, and the results that we obtained. Okay, so the research topic is to develop a data analytics methodology to analyze online reviews. And two unique aspects of our research is that we incorporate sentiment prediction into a bigger framework, and we also benchmark sentiment scores generated by different algorithms. So as you can see, this is the first part, incorporating sentiment prediction, and this is the comparison of accuracies, classification accuracies. And the second part of our work is integrating these different algorithms and comparing their performance. And the two algorithms that we compare for now are Vader, and we compare that with TextPlub. So we take the difference between sentiment scores between the two of them, and we do some exploratory analysis. So this is our research topic. This is an important research topic because, of course, sentiment analysis is used a lot in industry. But then we need to decide which sentiment scoring algorithm we need to use. And we haven't seen a solid methodology for that. That was the main motivation. So the main motivation is that the e-commerce is growing, and online customer reviews affect buyer behavior. Customer reviews are text collections, and sentiment analysis can quantify sentiment. Now, there's extensive research on sentiment analysis, but there is less work on sentiment gap analysis. So again, there's a lot of work on sentiment analysis, but then there is less work on sentiment gap analysis. So there's a need for an integrated methodology, which we developed in this research. So our research scope is this, and we hope that our research will be applied in industry. So basically, we collect and accumulate domain knowledge, and we learn about the data content in this type of domain. Then we develop our methodology, and we prove the usefulness or we illustrate usefulness of our methodology through a case study. And then our hope is that by seeing the usefulness of our methodology, marketing analysts and other professionals in industry can apply this methodology in their analytics studies. Okay, so here's the integrated methodology that we developed. So we basically first input the data, we obtain the data. Sorry. Okay, so basically we start with some data set, and we clean the data, and then we exclude irrelevant attributes. Then we compute derived attributes as well, and we reduce the number of rating labels to -1, 0, and 1, and we also calculate sentiment scores, as we will see in a while. On the other hand, we also analyze the text for the comments by drawing word cloud and other things. So after cleaning the data, again, we draw word cloud and identify frequent items, and we obtain the results. And over here, we compute sentiment scores. Okay, and we also, of course, identify frequent n-grams, positive and negative ones, and we discretize sentiment scores. And then using these added attributes, derived attributes, we form a new data set B. So this data set B, I will refer to as augmented data set. Okay, whereas data set A was the original data set. So this is the original initial data set, and then we extend that data set with some new features, and we call it what? We call it augmented data set. Okay, so given this augmented data set, we apply some analysis to this data set. Okay, so now let's take a look further. So what we basically do is we do predictive analytics. So for each method that we apply, for each sentiment scoring algorithm, and there are 3 of them that we applied, for each of them, we do these things, and then we repeat for the next one. Okay, so what did we do? For each sentiment scoring method, we prepared a data set for predicting the sentiment class, and that's a new data set C. And then we predict the sentiment class, and then this is the end of classification for that particular for a metric M. And in the meanwhile, while we are doing predictive analytics here, we also do gap analysis over here, and we also obtain the results. So basically, that is the core of our methodology, integrating these 2 different types of analysis together and providing practitioners in the business world with practical workflow, practical methodology that is based on verified results. Okay, so the original data that we have, is like this. Okay, so this is data that is obtained by other researchers. So these are the fields: the product name, ratings for that product, the number of reviews, whether the review was helpful or not, the date, the product ID in Amazon, the target, and text. So, for example, this is the first data set. This is the first data record. Okay, so this is the first review. This is the next review, etc., etc. So this is the original data set. Then we augment the data set, and we obtain a new data set B. So as you remember, this is data set B in the workflow or in the flow chart. Okay, so when you look at this augmented data set, so it's a know-how to see which type of data we need to add. That's a lot of that requires a lot of thinking, planning, etc. So that was also challenging. And basically, these are the attributes, dimensions that we find appropriate, and the ones that we don't use, we remove them. And for benchmark analysis, we take the scores by 2 different algorithms, namely Vader and TextBlob, and their difference will give us the sentiment gap, which we will be analyzing, and we will be plotting it against the number of the word count of that review. So this is the augmented data set. So these are the 2 algorithms, the sentiment scoring algorithms that we apply. The first one is Vader, and the other one is TextBlob. And this is the workflow that we applied. We used KNIME software to apply this methodology. And here are the prediction results. These are the classification accuracies. Okay, these are the classification accuracies, and we compare them. What we see is we did our analysis mainly for perfume, and Vader gave the best predictive results. But then for other products, such as curcumin, other methodology gave the best results. For books, another algorithm. So we need to basically try these different sentiment scoring methods. That was the one important outcome of our research. And the other thing that we see is when we plot the word count of the review, when we plot the difference in scores against the word count, what we see is as the word count increases, there's almost always a bigger gap between Vader score and text blob score. So text Vader score tends to be higher as the number of words increases. So that's something that wasn't known before. And also the scale of at which this happens changes from product to product. So for example, for books, we start to see outliers only after 500 words. Yes, whereas for other products, we start seeing outliers before. And some interesting pattern that we see for curcumin is we see a lot of negative differences as well. So for curcumin, there are a lot of observations where text blob score is higher than Vader score. We see that a lot, and that's something that we observe with curcumin that we don't observe here. You see here we don't have too many extreme values here, but here we have so many values. So that's the other observation. Another observation is here, as you can see, this is almost like an angle of gap. And this one you wouldn't observe in other ones until here. You would not observe it, but you do observe it for electronics. So for electronics, there's a different pattern compared to the other products. So for electronics, there's a gap here that we don't observe for other products. So these are some types of insights that we could obtain. And since, of course, this is only a conference paper, this is as far as we could have the space to illustrate our results, but many other things can be done. So this was our research. And if you'd like to learn more about me, please feel free to visit my personal website, artechprojects.com. And this is me. I'm joining from UAE University in United Arab Emirates. This is a view from our city, Al Ain. And that's pretty much it. This is my background. I do research on data analytics and blockchain. And thank you so much. That's the end of my 12 minutes. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from the audience for the participants? Any question? No, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Yes. This you have divided, you have calculated the sentimental scoring, right?
Yes.
Right. And there are 3 methods are there. And you have taken the number of parameters. You have taken 31 of attributes are there. What
again? I didn't get your last sentence.
Yeah, you have taken 31 of attributes, right?
These are the attributes, yes.
In the augmented, yes. And then how we can identify that which one is the best attribute for your results and which one is having a high impact for the semantic.
That's great. Actually, that one would be we would be looking into. We would have to do more deeper analysis. We did not do that analysis. We did not do that analysis, but the methodology can be extended to answer such questions, and that's a very good, valid question for future research. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you.
And in predictive analytics, by the way, in predictive analytics, where we have these results, right? In predictive analytics, also we could do some type of explainable AI methods, explainable machine learning, to see which factors are affecting the accuracies or affecting the classifications. Okay, thank you so much, Dan. I would like to be excused. I just have another presentation in virtual room C. So thank you so much, and wish you a great session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay, so now we'll move further to our next presenter, and I would like to invite Thembekele O. Mayayise to present her paper on the title, A Security-Based E-Government Adoption Framework and Outcome of a Systematic Literature Review. So,
thank you so much.
Yeah, you may please start your paper now.
Yeah, it's I can't share the screen. It's afternoon from this side. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope I'm audible enough. My name is Thembekele Mayayise. I will be taking you through my study, which is titled A Security-Based E-Government Adoption Framework, which is an outcome of a systematic literature review. So in terms of my background, well, in terms of the outline, I'm going to take you through a bit of background, and I'll touch on the literature review. We'll go through the methodology, touch on some findings of the systematic review, and also go through the proposed conceptual frameworks, and then I'll give you an opportunity to ask me some questions at the end. So before I actually delve into the background, I think it's just important maybe for everyone to understand where I'm presenting from. I'm working as a senior lecturer at the University of the Witwatersrand. It's actually in Johannesburg in South Africa. So in terms of the background of this study, it's on e-government adoption and focusing mainly on the security aspects of adoption. So when we look at e-government refers to the use of government information and technology services in order to offer services to citizens, governments, and business entities. So just like in e-commerce, e-government has got various types or models. There's government to citizen, government to business, and also government to employee, and so forth. And what we know is that as of 2014, nearly 50 countries that belong to the United Nations were having websites, some portals where citizens could connect and download some valuable information that they required within a 24-hour day. So one thing that is noteworthy is that obviously with countries and the levels of e-government adoption, it varies from country to country. Each country is basically at a different stage of maturity. In terms of the objectives of this study, it was to basically conduct a systematic literature review in order to identify empirical studies that were actually done between 2013 to 2022. And to also identify e-government adoption frameworks or theories from those empirical studies and be able to look at the gaps in those adoption frameworks, specifically around information security, privacy, and e-government awareness, so that there could be a proposed conceptual framework that looked at security for e-government adoption. So that proposed conceptual framework would ultimately include information security, privacy, and e-government awareness as constructs. So if one was to pose this in the form of research question is, which empirical studies were conducted since 2013 to 2022, and which frameworks were basically dominant on those empirical studies, and to what extent did the dominant e-government framework cover security controls, privacy, and e-government awareness construct, and how to look at such an e-government adoption framework can be designed to cater for information security, privacy, and e-government awareness. In terms of the literature, I'll just summarize what the literature revealed. So in terms of literature, not many studies have actually been done on e-government adoption in certain parts of the world, for instance, in Africa. However, there are a lot of studies that have been done in other regions like Europe, Asia, and so forth. And Estonia, for instance, is one country that is actually regarded as a very digitally advanced country. And Estonia and other countries like the United States and Denmark, they are also at the forefront of leading as far as e-government adoption is concerned. The one thing that they also mentioned is the fact that when it comes to security and privacy, these countries, leaders as they are, they do focus on ensuring that security is something that is taken into account when they look at the implementation of e-government. In South Africa, there was an incident in 2019, for instance, where one of the metros was actually, attacked. It was a cyber attack where a ransom was actually demanded. And this basically flags the need to look at information security when looking at e-government adoption. So some of the drivers of e-government adoption that the literature was able to flesh out was trust in e-government service, perceived ease of use of the e-government platforms, compatibility, and all the other factors that you can be able to see from the screen. In terms of the methodology that was used for the systematic literature review, the focus was on specific period. So I looked at the empirical work that was done from 2013 to 2022, and I specifically looked at certain databases like your IEEE, Science Direct, and EBSCO host. And it was focusing mainly on empirical studies that were written in English, and also articles that would be downloadable and easy to access based on, you know, what my academic institution was able to subscribe to. So what you see now is the Prisma flow chart, or the Prisma flow diagram, that has basically been adapted. This is basically how I went about doing the systematic literature review, where the initial search, you know, using the specific syntax that was used in the study, revealed 332, and obviously doing the filtering and going through the screening process to get to those articles that were eligible for synthesis. Only 51 articles remained that were ultimately used, you know, to document the findings. This table is just showing you, in terms of various regions, how many studies, you know, were actually found on the time frame that was specified. And as you can see, Europe and Asia are leading, and then very few studies have actually been done in Africa and, you know, other regions, South America, Western Asia, and so forth. Now, coming to the issue around the frameworks that were actually used in this study, TEM was actually one framework that was quite dominant, and UTAUT was the next one. But you'll also realize that there's 19 sources that actually said, you know, it's various frameworks, hence you actually see other at the end of this graph. So you can see from these studies that, you know, when it comes to e-government adoption, there are certain frameworks that, you know, researchers tend to use, and TEM is the popular framework that has actually been used and continues being used when it comes to e-government adoption. UMEGA is also an emergent one, which also has some elements that you can actually, you know, pick up from the other or traditional adoption frameworks that are normally used in IS, such as UTAUT and so forth. So looking at TEM, which came out as the dominant framework, right? Looking at TEM and looking at the extent at which TEM in those studies was actually combined with other artifacts, such as information security, privacy, and awareness, we actually discovered that TEM wasn't really, you know, combined with much of that. So as you can see on the table that's here, those studies that have actually been identified, there's only one which actually partially covered some aspects of information security. So what this basically shows is the need to actually have an e-government adoption framework that will ultimately factor in security because of its importance, privacy, and also e-government awareness. As part of my study, the ultimate goal was to basically look at, you know, what the current literature is saying or the recent literature is saying, and come to propose a framework that will basically be a combination of what has actually been used and it's tested, it's known that it works, and also to break it down and say, okay, when it comes to the commonly used frameworks in e-government adoption, when it comes to information security, what are the elements that need to go into the framework to make it more comprehensive and to satisfy anybody that was actually looking at wanting to adopt e-government, to say, when it comes to security, when it comes to privacy and awareness, you know, we will be covered. So at the end of the day, this proposed framework takes into account specific constructs that emanate from TEM and also specific constructs that are actually centered around information security, and it's broken down into looking at specific elements of information security where we have confidentiality of information, integrity, and also availability. And we also have another construct, which is privacy and also e-government awareness. And all this point to behavioral intention to adopt e-government and also moving to e-government adoption. So what you see on the right-hand side is just a list of the specific propositions that are actually, put together to support the way forward in taking this study forward when you look at having to now embark on the field work and gathering data. So it's, for instance, to look at the perceived ease of use and its positive influence on behavioral intention to adopt e-government, and all those other propositions. They basically talk to, their influence on the behavioral intention to adopt e-government and basically adopting e-government. So this is basically the framework. Now, look, moving right along to some of the limitations of this study. Surely, it's a study that focused on sources from specific databases. So it's a study that, more work can also be done in making sure that, other sources are consulted to see if there may be other frameworks that need to be taken into account. The other aspect is to look at operationalizing this framework in various contexts. And I would like to pause here and allow, the audience to ask any questions that they may have with regards to this study.
Yes. Any question from the participants or any other authors? Yes, I have one question, Tambike.
Yes.
Yeah, this is you have mentioned the security and privacy and all these things are included in your e-government project, right? Can you explain me how you can security and privacy? What's the difference between these two?
Okay. When we look at security, and also it also depends on the literature that you make as a point of reference. In other contexts, they actually have privacy as one of, the elements that needs to be taken into account when you look at security. But when you look at more of some of the practitioner sources, I'll give you an example. When you look at ISO 27001, the 2015 version, it doesn't speak of privacy as one of the key elements or principles of information security. It ends with the CIA. So it gives one the flexibility to say, how do I want to package it? It's more of packaging and how you want to define it. But at the end of the day, you can use various sources to back your structure. And in this context, my view was influenced by the ISO IEC 27001 security standard. Hence, they're actually separate.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Please, Anisha, go for the next.
Sir, we have our another session chair with us, and I think she wants to ask a question to the presenter.
Okay, please.
Yeah, so please, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you for interesting presentation, Maya. Could you provide a specific example of how the proposed security-based government adoption framework could be applied in a real world?
Sorry, ma'am, I missed the last part. I heard you ask how the security e-government framework would do what? The last part?
Yeah, for example, or I can ask you another way, what potential benefits it could bring to the citizens and the government?
Oh, okay. Yeah, obviously, like the example I cited in the literature, it would save costs because currently when countries implement e-government and neglect security, they stand a risk of getting hacked and attacked. And some of those attacks can be costly. So if security is taken into account at adoption, then the risk of, financial loss and other, losses that may emanate as a result can be minimized. In terms of the citizens, when they log into this platform, sometimes they make or reveal some of their personal information. And if a site is hacked, you find that such information can even be used to commit more fraud, more phishing scams, and it can just cause unnecessary discomfort to the citizens.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah, so and as we have our session chair with us, I'll just quickly introduce you all to the session chair.
Yeah. Sorry, I had
So
delay to connecting.
no issues now.
Yes,
So
yes.
Dr. SFA SME.
Yes.
Dr. SFA SME is currently working at School of Economics, Business and Informatics at Corvinus University of Budapest,
Yeah.
Institute of Data Analytics and Information Systems, Budapest, Hungary. She is an experienced teaching fellow with a demonstrated history of working in the higher education industry. Her main focus areas are quantitative research software, qualitative research software, learning management software, content management software, programming, data mining, etc. So welcome to the session, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Okay, so now we'll move further to our next presenter. And I would like to invite Jining Wang to present her paper on the title Content Moderator Starter Response, a qualitative study. So, dear presenter, you may please present your paper now.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Please allow me 1 second to share screen.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. My name is Irene, and I am the Director of Global Research and Data for Wellness Resiliency at TaskUs. It's a digital outsourcing company. We provide services such as content moderation, AI tagging, among many others. At TaskUs, I lead a team of researchers as well as data scientists to conduct impactful large-scale research to improve employees' well-being, especially for our content moderators who safeguard our internet and online communities on a daily basis. Today, I am presenting on behalf of Dr. Tamir Barucha, our first author on this paper, who could not attend today's session. Again, this work was done by my wonderful colleagues and co-authors, Dr. Tamir Barucha, Dr. Mariah Steiger, Priyanka Manchetta at TaskUs, as well as our collaborator, Rainer Meir at Sutherland. Today, I'll be discussing a research study where we set out to understand our content moderators' startle response. I will also discuss the procedures that we implemented at TaskUs after the completion of the study to improve content moderator well-being. Before I get started, you might be wondering, so what is a startle response? Well, please allow me to explain this with one of my own experiences. As you can see here, this is my 5-pound Chihuahua who rings the household and terrorizes us. Don't worry, we love her. But please imagine that I am deeply immersed in my work. Perhaps I'm presenting like today, perhaps I'm reviewing a manuscript, perhaps I'm intensely coding. And all of a sudden, let's imagine that the doorbell rings and my Chihuahua jumps out of her bed, starts barking at the top of her lungs. Now, how do you think I would react? I probably would have jumped on my chair. My heart rate might have increased. I might try to hold on to something to feel grounded and balanced. In short, what I might have experienced is a startle response. It is a response to unexpected and attention-grabbing stimulus. And in this case, it's my dog's sudden barking. So in fact, probably from my experience, you already realize that startle response is not uncommon. From an evolutionary sense, it is a natural protective process triggered by unexpected and potentially fear-inducing stimuli to help us be prepared for potentially dangerous situations. So now that we know what a startle response is, please let me tell you about a sister concept relevant to this talk, and that is startle habituation. We all know from our personal experience that our startle response does not last forever. For example, I am not freaking out anymore from my dog's barking yesterday. You're not freaked out anymore from perhaps a spider that you saw 2 years ago. This is called startle habituation. After a certain amount of time, our startle response goes away and you normally return to your baseline level. So you might be thinking, this is all interesting, good to know. What does it have to do with content moderators? So next, I would like you to imagine that you are hired as a content moderator. You're hired to review and remove images or videos or text from a platform that violates its community policies. The jobs in your queue might range from harmless animals all the way to potentially disturbing content, such as depictions of gore or violence. And imagine that you might have to review up to 1,000 posts per day with an average processing time of 20 to 30 seconds per post. Because of the sheer quantity and frequency of the exposure to unpredicted media, you will likely experience startle response at a much higher frequency compared to if you're not a content moderator or if you're just going about your day as usual. Obviously, we know eventually you will habituate to the job and content, but the question is, how long will this habituation take? One potential risk of unattended and prolonged startle response is the development of adverse mental health effects, such as compassion fatigue, burnout, or secondary traumatic stress. Therefore, at TASAS, we want to help content moderators habituate to content faster. The question is, what can we do? When we were first faced with this question at TASAS, my research team looked into the literature, trying to find anything we could, and unfortunately, we found almost no answers. Therefore, we decided to set out and conduct our own study on content moderator startle response. And we did so by interviewing 78 content moderators. There are many insights that we were able to gain from this study that I don't have time to discuss every single detail today due to time constraints, but I will share two main findings today. And you can always refer to the preprint that was linked on the first title slide, as well as wait for the full publication that will be released this summer. Regarding the two major findings, the first finding is that content moderators reported the greatest content impact upon first exposure. And perhaps this is not surprising, just thinking about our own experiences with content, with startle response. For instance, one moderator mentioned, and I quote, "Until you see the graphic content with your own eyes, you don't really understand it or how often you will see it." Other factors that content moderators mentioned that might have contributed to their at first potentially unpreparedness was the lack of clarity on what content moderation really involved during the recruitment process, as well as the minimal focus on wellness and coping skills on managing these content during the training process. The second major finding from interviewing our content moderators is that content moderators found wellness programming to be their primary support as they acclimate to their jobs and content. They mentioned that access to individual counselors greatly helped them better be able to manage emotions and build resilience. Additionally, it also helped with their growth and development, not only at work, but also in their personal lives. Based on these findings, it became immediately apparent to us that if we want to facilitate startle response habituation, we must leverage wellness initiatives and increase transparency, preparedness, and understanding throughout the entire employee lifecycle. To give you some examples of what kind of improvements that we made at TASAS since the study, I will discuss how we created and implemented 2 standard operating procedures for the content moderator recruitment process and the training phase. Sorry, there. Regarding the recruitment process, we first worked with recruitment to include intentional language that better describe the role requirements, potential risk, and resources that will be offered here at TASAS. Next, during interview process, we implemented wellness-informed behavioral questions intended to further explore the candidate's role readiness, internet habits, and potential any prior experience with varying levels, degrees of content. This initiative gave candidates more insights on the role and our recruiters more supplemental information to hire the best fit individual. Lastly, we created a wellness-informed script that further informs our candidates on the type of content that they will likely see, the potential impact of exposure, as well as any wellness resources provided by TASAs to mitigate these risks. During the training phase, the main thing that we did is that we extended an existing wellness program, namely the TASKUS method, into the training phase prior to them being exposed to any content. In short, the TASKUS method provides interventions, resources, and psychoeducation that focuses on mitigating risk and improving well-being and workflow outcomes. And this step is crucial because it gives content moderators skills to decrease startle response and facilitate habituation from the get-go before they even start officially seeing the content. Okay, this is all great. We implemented changes. You might ask, okay, so did it work? So next, I will talk about some of the impact that we've seen since implementing these changes. First, we found that after implementing all these changes, we here at TASAs were able to reduce the habituation time from industry standard norms of 3 months down to 1 month. We also saw a 50% decrease in attrition compared to those who did not receive these wellness interventions. In addition, based on regular assessments conducted at our company, it indicated that we were able to maintain and improve content moderator resiliency and compassion satisfaction while minimizing the risk of burnout and secondary traumatic stress. In short, if you don't remember anything from my talk today, I hope that you walk away with this. Wellness initiatives that focus on transparency and preparation can facilitate content moderator startle habituation and improve wellness outcomes. Thank you so much for your time today. So this is the end of my talk. Please feel free to let me know if you have any questions.
Is there any question from the participants? No, then I have one question.
Go ahead.
For this content moderator analysis we have done for the habituations to inbuild the this, for what type of methodology? If there any methodology you have used here for that, or what's the research you have done for that?
Great question. So it's a qualitative thematic analysis. We interviewed 78 content moderators. We transcribed their responses, and we look through their responses to find common themes in their response.
Right. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, I have also a question.
Please.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a question about even potential impact on moderators' emotional, psychological well-being. Have the companies you studied implemented any specific inventions or soft systems to help moderate or with the content they review?
That is a great question. Yeah, so at TaskUs, we have different tiered wellness solutions that cater to the type of content they see. So the content they see might range from relatively harmless content to violent gore and potentially CSAM, child sexual abuse material. So depending on the content, we work with the client to figure out and recommend the best wellness solutions for them. Obviously, as we can imagine, the more severe the content, there is the more wellness solutions and support that we provide and more wellness interventions that we provide. But in short, to give you an overall summary, we provide very comprehensive wellness solutions, including interventions, so skill acquisition sessions, working on helping them to manage content, good, I think, adaptive psychological distancing interventions, coping skills, group session. We also provide one-to-one counselor sessions, life coaches. We also have a range of on-demand resources such as podcasts, on-demand courses on our internal website where they can learn more about psychological well-being, meditation, chanting, all those interventions that they can access. We also conduct assessments on a regular basis. So depending on the type of content that they see, the minimum is that we do twice a year. For certain more severe content, we do monthly assessments each month using research validated psychometrics to check their psychological well-being. And obviously our life coaches, they're on the ground day to day with our frontline workers. So they also have a qualitative observation and pulse to check on the teammates.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And now we'll move further to our next presenter. And I would like to invite Mikkel Pedersen to present his paper on the title, Disparity of Abstract Color Representations in Convolutional Networks. So, dear presenter, you may please start your presentation now.
I think he's not there. Or allow him to
Okay.
share the screen.
Mikkel, are you here in the meeting? Okay, I think he has not joined the meeting yet. So we will move forward to our next presenter. And I would like to invite Omonia Ajok to present her paper on the title, Modification of Dijkstra's Algorithm for Best Alternative Routes. So dear presenter, you may please present your paper now.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon. Please permit me to share my screen. Okay, good afternoon. I couldn't share my screen. Okay. Can you please, can you see the screen? Can you view the screen now?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, good afternoon. It's a privilege being here this afternoon. The title of my paper is Modification of the Extract Algorithm for Best Alternative Routes. And my name is Dr. Badamosi Omania Ajoke, currently residing in Nigeria. I'm a lecturer in the University, Olusegun Agabi University of Science and Technology in Ondo State, Nigeria. And my co-author is Dr. Aremo. He resides and also a lecturer in the University of Ilorin, Nigeria. So permit me to continue with my slide. I believe everyone can view the slide. Okay. So I have the outline. Can you hear me, please? I want a response so that I know you are hearing me clearly. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible. Please go ahead. But
Okay,
your voice is not clear, actually.
Oh,
So if you can
voice,
just
okay.
check your connection once, that will be great.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I have my outline, the way I'm going to present this paper. I have the introduction. I have the statement of the problem, aims and objectives, related works, methodology, results and discussion, conclusion, contribution to knowledge, recommendation, and then I ask to have questions. I listen to the questions. Let me quickly go into the introduction. The introduction of this work is mostly on Dijkstra's algorithm. As we all know, that Dijkstra is an algorithm that we use to solve a search path problem concerned with determining the route of minimum weight connecting to specific vertices. It is, however, observed that advancing the shortest path may not be more time-consuming than taking longer routes in some instances. So this research work is actually being done on a road network and it's been designed on a 14-node graph, which was implemented on a Python programming language. And why Dijkstra's? Why am I so considering Dijkstra's as an algorithm which was modified? The reason for Dijkstra's is in the sense that the search algorithm for solving single source shortest path problem for a graph with non-negative edge is also involved in a greedy strategy algorithm. Is also classified for finding shortest path where query is applicable. The statement of the problem. Now in Africa, majorly in Nigeria, we are faced with so many challenges at hand, and you'll see that there is a need for people to move with ease, maybe during transportation of goods or movement from one location to the other. So this model is being proposed in order to solve the problem that could come out of the shortest path not being accessible to time. As we all know, when a path is short due to the fact that it gives room to minimize your timing and your resources, many people would like to fly through such a route. But in instances why such a route is not accessible, what then do we need to do? So that is actually where the research gap come into be. That knowing fully well that Dijkstra's attend to shortest path, making location and navigation of route accessible, in the sense whereby this route is not available, it's not accessible, then how do we navigate? So that is the essence of this research work, whereby the need for providing other alternative routes, which we can fly through, and for ease of transportation and as well as navigation. So that is the statement problem, and it will enhance us to promote, to transport our goods and services, and at the same time, ease our mode of movement. Also, I have the aim and the objectives of this research work. The aim is to develop a modified Dijkstra's algorithm for finding alternative routes, moving from a location or node A to another specified location or node B when the shortest route is inaccessible. And the objectives to implement this aim is: one, design the conventional Dijkstra's algorithm; two, design a variant of the conventional Dijkstra's called the modified Dijkstra's; and objective three is to evaluate the performance of both algorithms after the implementation to actually see if the cap is being achieved. And the fourth one is to compute the complexity of both algorithms during the implementation. I have some literature which was studied.
I will request you to go, excuse me, I'll request you go for the methodology so that you can cover the time.
Okay, sir. All right, sir. All right, the methodology. The methodology, okay, methodology involves, excuse me, please pardon me. Okay, the methodology is in two phases. The first method is to generate and update the cost matrix. Then number two method used is to modify the pseudocode for the Dijkstra's algorithm. As I earlier said, this research is based on modification of Dijkstra's. And the first means is to first formulate our graph, which is a 40-node graph, and having connected with distances, taking our nodes as first node, which is node A, then we modify the Dijkstra's algorithm. This is a flow chart for the Dijkstra's algorithm, the conventional Dijkstra's. After the modification, now moving to the evaluation. From the 40 node that was designed, we picked 10 routes out of it to actually analyze the effect of these model design. So out of the 10 proposed routes, I have them here, route A to P, but due to this discussion, I will just explain 2 of these routes. The first one is node A to P, and the second one is node A to M1, just for us to see. And this is the result from the table, giving us the alternative routes. The red ones, these red lines gives the alternative routes, and the Dijkstraat is the green. So for the first route, which is route A to P, we have the number of alternative routes, which was networked based on the 14 routes, joining them together to form back the network, giving access to further routes or alternative routes that could be applied. I also have the next route considered, which is node A to node M1. In there, I have over 100 alternative routes provided, rather than that of the Dijkstraat, which was provided. And to further evaluate this analysis, the model which I presented on the table, taking the 4 best routes out of the routes provided, comparing it with that of Dijkstraat based on probability to see how it actually performs. And from this table, we could see or deduce that that of the modified Dijkstraat, which was proposed and implemented, gave room for more routes to be accessible, rather than that of the Dijkstraat, which is just a route. Likewise, I have that of the pie chart, further illustrating the efficiency of the performance of the modified Dijkstraat. And likewise, having computed the complexity, it was found that both complexity of the 2 algorithms happens to be similar. And I have the average result for both algorithms that was implemented, that is for the conventional Dijkstraat and that of the modified Dijkstraat algorithm. The average distance covered for the Dijkstraat, conventional Dijkstraat algorithm is 88 kilometers, while that of the modified was 212 kilometers. And the average number of routes provided, as we all know, Dijkstraat is concerned about the shortest route, which is just 1. But based on this model proposed and after the implementation, we were able to have our findings of providing 40 more alternate routes that could make life more easier when being implemented. Then the average probability cost, we could see that that of the modifier performed rightly well, better than that of the conventional Dijkstraat. In conclusion, this study proposed a modified Dijkstraat algorithm for finding alternative routes, a situation where the cost of generating shortest paths are enormous, to the extent that the gains of applying the classical Dijkstraat algorithm are dark. It's been implemented on a Python environment. 40 node was designed. Likewise, the novel about this Dijkstraat is the introduction of the probability metrics that gives room to further the alternative routes for this research work. And contribution to knowledge. The study provides an alternative framework that yield an enhanced opportunity for route finding whenever it is impracticable to use the shortest path arising from constraints placed on the shortest path. Number 2 contribution, the outcome of the study is of tremendous significance to both the transportation system and logistic end. And the third one I have here, the study had another novel contribution in terms of perception, for which the modification was carried out on the study. And then I have my reference here. Thank you, sir. I have my recommendation as well. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you so much for your interesting presentation. I have a question. have you considered any potential trade-off between the performance gains of the modified algorithm and the potential cost associated with implementing and integrating it into different systems or applications?
Please, can you come again? Pardon me, I couldn't hear you well.
In other way, how might modified algorithm be implemented in different contexts?
In different,
Context.
okay, okay, but for now, well, that's the next phase of which I want to work on in order to see how it performs in another domain. That's the next, that's my next crucial research on this work now. To see how it performs in another domain, as you have said. I'm not yet done with it.
Okay. 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 Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, continue, please. I have no question right now for this.
Okay, fine. So we'll move forward to our last presentation for the session. And I would like to invite Mykola Korablyo, and apologies if I may have pronounced it wrong. And the paper title is System Models of a Single Information Space of Digital Twins. So dear presenter, you may please present your paper now.
Good afternoon, dear attendees. My colleague, Associate Professor of Kharkiv, National University of Radio Electronics, Igor Ivanisenko, will make a presentation of our works. Please connect to participate in the Congress, Igor Ivanisenko. I ask for your attention, please.
Hi, everybody. Do you see my screen? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. Let me start. Dear Chairman, dear attendants, your attention is presented report on the topic System Models of a Single Information Space of Digital Twins. Our work was carried out by employees of the Department of Computer Intelligence Technologies and Systems of the Kharkiv National University of Radio Electronics, Ukraine. So the content and structure of the report are shown on the current slide. The paper considers a systematic approach to modeling a single system information space of virtual digital production. The proposed methodology for modeling an informational space does not contradict the basic principle of a modern virtual digital production, but complements it with those features that are methodologically incorporated into it. The terms system information, information norm and information measure introduced in the work correspond to the generally accepted classical definition of the concept of information. An analysis of system information models of processes and system was carried out, and the definition of the term system information was proposed as proportional ratio of a general attribute to its particular value. That it's information about the proportional of an informational measure is subject of transmission. A methodology for system information modeling of the informational space is proposed, and analysis of system information models based on the Planck units of physical quantities is carried out. An example of calculation equivalent system information is given, and analysis of methods for solving production problems using system information models is carried out. So the principles of developing system information models are based on scientific provisions in the field of information theory. The significance of these provisions for science lies in the fact that they eliminate the shortcoming of the modern statistical paradigm is desired to describe everything using the language of dimensional models, and also allow you to reflect such as property of systems and processes as discreteness and indicate their absolute optimal sizes. Yeah. The formalization of system information models of processes and systems is based on a postulate and 3 rules for establishing communication dependence of interacting objects presented in the next slide, in this slide. So, the methodology of system informational modeling is based on the concept of system information, which is characterized as a quantitative indicator of the communication ability of an object to exchange information with the environment. In the process of information exchange, the object changes its state by a value that a multiple of this threshold of sensitivity to the influencing object. The system information of an object is characterized by informational measure and informational norm, like shown in that slide. The informational measure is a function of the absolute value of the quantitative and or quantitative proportion of the ratio of the attribute to the established measure. The information norm is equal to the value of the ratio of the general value of the attribute to its particular value. It points to place the particular is in a general. Based on the informational measure, the amount of information of the first kind is determined. Based on the informational norm, the amount of informational second kind is determined. Human civilization in its activities use the principle of determining the value of informational based on the measure of the standard, which characterizes information of the first kind. The transformation of natural processes is characterized by the value of information, which refers to information of the second kind. The aggregative values of the information of the first and second kinds are the general system information of processes and systems with a single sensitivity threshold. The system information of the receiver object appears as a reaction to the external influence of the transmitter object. And it's characterized by the type of the sensitivity threshold of the transmitter object, which can be the parameter occurrence tolerance, expanded uncertainty, standard unit, Planck unit, E, etc., which determines the semantic load of the transmitted system information. So the system information modeling of a single information space is based on the principles of the superposition. The sum of the system's responses to the individual perturbations from the system initial state is to equal to response of the system to the total impact from the same initial state. The elementary reaction of the system to an external distributes is a threshold of the system's sensitivity to the impact. The system model of an object reflects the system information of the object properties, the place and time of their manifestation in 5D coordinates. 3 coordinates of the space and 1 coordinates of the properties of the object and the time of their manifestation. The system information model is characterized by stable characteristics of limiting upper and lower boundaries of the intensity of properties and the maximum and minimum scales of duration and extent. Unstable characteristics of variable values of the properties, space and time. Gradations of sensitivity threshold of properties, space and time. These slides present the structure of system information model, which reflects various fragments of the reality and reality of manifestation of the system. These may be such fragments of reality that reflect properly space and time together, separate property and space as well as property and time. The structure of the system information space consists from three main blocks. The central block is a fragment of reality of the set of object properties, the so-called intensity of properties. The intensity of properties is characterized by a limiting number of perceptible properties and their max and minimum values. The next modeling factor is property intensity scale, which is characterized by sensitivity threshold. The other two blocks are duration time block and length block. These blocks are characterized by limiting boundaries of duration and extent, threshold of sensitivity on sensitivity of duration and extent, scales of variability of duration and heterogeneity of extent. The combination of elements of blocks of intensity, duration, and length in various configurations forms layers of fragments of reality. Yes, this slide presents a geometrical interpretation of a single information space in the coordinates of system information of object properties. Space and time. All coordinates have the dimensions of the system information bit. The presented coordinational geometrical interpretation of the system information space is consistent with the Lorentz covariance of physical laws, which postulates the requirements for the independence of the results of physical experiments and writing of equations from the choice of a particular reference frame. A distinctive feature of the system information transformation of quantities from the Lorentz transformation is the transformation of quantities in 5-dimensional and in a 4-dimensional space, 3 coordinates of the space and time. The fifth component of the 5-dimensional space is information that characterizes the communication ability of the simulated quantities. Due to this, the recording systems of mathematical equations that describe the laws of nature in a system information form makes it possible to determine for a given space quantity that is informational consistent with each other. The property of informational system models is a future can be used in a digital twins based on the artificial intelligence to solve the problems of self-healing and self-organizing of deserted industrials that don't have a pre-known code. To do this on the basis of the neural networks in real time, the sensitivity thresholds of the coherent production parameters are determined. On the basis, system information models are compiled that reflect the patterns of informational related parameters of a particular production. Example, the existing production practice is characterized by established sequence of development of technical processes. It consists of conducting an experimental study to statistically determine the patterns of relationship between processes parameters as well as formalize the patterns obtained and use the resulting mathematical equations to develop technological processes. And nextly, this slide 9, yeah. The slide shown an example using the Planck units of a physical quantities as a sensitivity threshold of a system information model for calculating power and determine the equivalent value of a power through energy. The given equivalent system information models can be used to solve production problems for digital twins of industries. Such tasks include tasks determining the current technical and economical indicators, KPI, for example, of a production processes and systems, in which the parameters are presented on the basis of energy equivalent. The solution to such problems provides reliability and timeliness for the control of the production processes due to a single unit measurement of parameters and their equivalent ratio. So Next, this slide presents 4 types of system information models using digital twins and subtypes of these system informational models that reflect the meaning of system informational depending on a value or function of their sensitivity threshold. The absolute system informational model of this system, ASIM, characterizes the amount of the system information that the manifested properties of the system have. The relative system information model, RSIM, characterizes the ratio of the absolute values of the system information of the parameters, design documentation of the.
Your limit is there, time limit. Can you conclude it?
Yes, let me to conclusion. And the proposed methodology for modeling the information space does not contradict the basis principle of modern virtual digital production, but complements it with those features that are methodologically incorporated into it. Secondly, the terms of system information norm, and information measure introduced in the paper correspond to the generally accepted classical definition of the concept of information, according to the definition of the term system information as a proportional ratio of a general attribute to its private value. Information about the proportional of the information measurement and the norm is subject to transmission. And the system information model, in which the threshold of sensitivity is a function of the probability of an event, occurs the classical meaning of the concept of information according to Shannon-Boltzmann, where the unit is a general and the probability of the event is particular. The definition of the concept of the system information as a set of information of the first and second kinds provides additional opportunities for the solving production problems by artificial intelligence in a single information space of a virtual digital industries. Thank you for your attention. Please, questions.
Okay. I have one question for with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Please.
Sorry.
Please.
Thank you for your presentation. You mentioned to industry. How do you see this methodology being adopted in the industry or different industry?
From my point of view, if industry first of all needs and have tasks which can be implemented, our methodology, our approach, we can in first stage we can discuss with them real task and real implementation. I mean real items of an implementation of this methodology and this approach. And I think it's gonna be in framework of working with portion of information regarding our approach, methodological approach. But first of all, they have to know aim. They have to know aim, and we can propose our theoretical and experimental calculations for them.
What do you think? Which industries maybe can apply this methodology in your idea?
Industry, for example, it's can be aircraft industry in general. Aircraft industry which used as product new machines for planes, but in aircraft industry, I think more better it can be applied.
Thank you so much for your interesting presentation.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Your presentation was very good, and you have used a lot of mathematics on this. I have one question. In information space, you have the two characteristics of this, unstable and stable, right? Then what type of neural network and which layer affect the stable characteristics to solve it?
For this work, we use normal neural network and with appropriate stages, options, and regular mode of its work.
Okay, for the regular model for this. Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the great presentation. And with that, we have completed all the presentations for today's session.
Okay.
And I sincerely thank all our authors for their excellent presentation and contribution in this session, and all our participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope the session was informative enough for you all. We, on behalf of the whole team, thank you for your support during this 8th version and the previous 7 versions of the conference. And we will be happy to have you in the 9th version in 2024. All the presenters would be getting their digital certificates through email within 2 working days. And further, all the papers have already forwarded to Springer. The publication will be live within 6 months, so kindly cooperate with the team of ICICT 2023. And now I would also like to thank our session chair for chairing the session. And here I'm sharing a small token of appreciation on behalf of the team of ICICT and Global Knowledge Research Foundation and partners.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Anisha.
Thank you so much for your valuable presence, sir and ma'am. Okay, so now as we have come to an end of the session, I request you all to please switch on your cameras to take a quick snapshot of this virtual conference. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe and take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.